Hi, I'm Maddie Vera. It is because I agree with the philosopher and political theorist John Locke in the position that humanity has the inalienable right to life, liberty, and property that I feel compelled to affirm today's resolution. Resolved, the United States ought to guarantee a right to housing. The value which I will be using today is human rights, defined by Oxford reference as rights and freedoms to which every human being is entitled. And I offer the following as the best criterion for evaluating this resolution. Utilitarianism, defined by the Oxford languages as the doctrine that an action is right insofar as it promotes happiness, and the greatest happiness of the greatest number should be the guiding principle of conduct. This best achieves my value of human rights because it guarantees a right to because a guaranteed right to housing uplifts our society's living standard and access to economic participation. Contention 1. We as people are motivated and empowered to do more if we have access to housing and security, and our government has a financial incentive to help. Warrant 1. American psychologist Abraham Maslow proposed that humans have two sets of needs, deficiency needs and growth needs, and that one cannot reach self-actualization and fulfillment if they do not have their basic and physiological needs met. Physiological needs, such as warmth and rest, are at the bottom of the 5-tier pyramid, with security and safety being one step above it. Impact. People are not worried about doing well at their job or being successful if they are unable to meet their basic needs for survival. As a society, we thrive when we are not worried about whether or not we will be alive tomorrow. We have laws in our state requiring every restaurant to provide free drinking water, but our government refuses to provide safety for its citizens. Warrant 2. A recent study by Elor Cohen, an economics researcher doing a study at UCLA, found that housing assistance to people experiencing homelessness lowers the number of emergency department visits by 80%, reduces the number of jail days by 130%, increases the probability of employment by 24% and reduces the probability of committing a crime by 80%. Impact. People that are helped given housing seem to lead healthier, more productive lives. Our government saves money on unnecessary medical bills and incarcerations and saves space in our already flooded jails. These individuals are more likely to earn a taxable income if they're off the streets paying the government, not just helping it save money. Contention 2. It is immoral to not provide free housing to our citizens. Warrant 1. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights states that the obligation to protect requires states to protect individuals and groups against human rights abuses. The obligation to fulfill means that states must take positive action to facilitate the enjoyment of basic human rights. Impact. It is not only moral and economical to protect some of our nation's most vulnerable citizens, but it is also an obligation for our government to do so. To not provide a right to housing is to fail to take positive action to preserve our innate rights to survival and to fail us, its citizens. Warrant 2. The Family Option Study found that housing vouchers reduces exposure to domestic violence and food insecurity. It also has a positive impact on the well-being of children and reduces behavioral problems. Impact. Our children deserve a safe and loving environment, and the streets are not one of them. They deserve a place where they feel safe and can flourish into a healthy person, not one where they are afraid of assault. Living in a stable environment can help them develop well mentally and do well in school. Warrant 3. According to Urban Institute, stable housing is a key factor of academic success for students of all ages, and the lack of stable housing can cause major disruptions to learning for students. Even a single eviction filing can have long-lasting effects for families and their children. Eviction filings have been found to decrease school attendance, and this decline continues even up to 2 years after the initial filing. They are also more likely to complete fewer years of school. Impact. Homelessness does not just affect one generation. It can have impacts for years. Children from homes with unstable housing have a reduced education, and poverty becomes cyclical. Every child should have equal access to education, but not having housing could cause detrimental effects. Children should not worry if their most basic needs will not be met. Conclusion: it is financially incentivized for the U.S. government to provide its citizens with one of the most basic needs. It is arguably an obligation for our government to do so, and the only moral action foreseeable in this debate. For these reasons, the only conclusion must be that the United States ought to guarantee a right to housing.